4. The Last of Spirits. The third spirit. Scrooge suddenly remembered the words of Jacob Marley's ghost. These were Scrooge's own words, which shows that he was waiting for the third spirit. This spirit is different from the other two. It was a spirit all in black, a tall, silent figure. It wore a long black robe, which hid its head and body. Black refers to mystery, death, and as it is the spirit of the future yet to come, so it represents the uncertain future. Scrooge was more afraid of this spirit than he had been of the others, but he was eager to learn more as he wanted to change and didn't want to waste more time. Scrooge wanted to make use of every moment and wanted to change as soon as possible. He said, "The night is passing and time is valuable to me, I know." This spirit took Scrooge to the heart of the capital among some businessmen and money lenders. The ghost only pointed to a small group of men as he wanted Scrooge to listen to their conversation. These were the people whom he used to deal with. They talked about someone who died the day before. But what was strange about that nobody cared about his death. They even laughed at this dead man, who obviously was a rich man. But it was clear that money was of no use to him when he died. Scrooge knew the men as he used to deal with them, but he didn't understand what the conversation meant. He looked towards the spirit, hoping it would explain, but the ghost moved on and pointed to other two men who Scrooge also knew as well. They were also talking about a man who died, the same man, and they were pleased to hear it at last. This shows that this man was not loved by his fellow men and not cared for. His money was of no use to him now after his death. Scrooge started to wonder who would be that man. It couldn't be his partner Jacob, because he was already dead. Scrooge wanted to change and didn't want to face this terrible fate. So he said, "I'm planning to change my life and I won't be the same person in the future." The role of the third spirit was very clear, as he wanted to show Scrooge the terrible reactions from people towards the dead man. Scrooge had his doubts about this dead man, as he noticed the spirit standing quiet beside him with its pointing hand. He also felt the unseen eyes staring fixedly at him behind the black robe. Scrooge's body shook and he felt cold. He had his doubts that it might be him, the dead man, but he was so afraid to admit or believe. The spirit then took Scrooge to the poorest, dirtiest part of the capital, where they went into a small shop that bought all furniture and clothes and sold them again. And he saw 3 women arriving at the shop at the same time, each one of them carrying a large bundle. When they saw each other, they were a little bit ashamed to see each other, but suddenly they started laughing. The women were the 3 maids who robbed the dead man out of his belongings, as the bed curtains, blankets, buttons, pencils, silver spoons, even the shirt that he was going to be buried in. They were all avenging from him, as he was a miser who paid them 3 shillings a week for cleaning, cooking, and washing his clothes. They were making fun of him, as he was never good with them. They believed that man's good deeds go with him when he dies, as no one dies and takes with him his money and belongings. Money can't buy a happy and peaceful life after death. They thought that this dead man doesn't deserve to be respected or honored after his death. 3 women were the 3 maids. They took the fine cotton shirt off the dead man's body after his death and stole everything in his house. They thought that he deserved to die alone because he was not loved by anybody. They thought that he doesn't deserve to be respected or honored after his death. The shop owner was surprised when he knew that they took the shirt out of his dead body. Scrooge was shocked after he seen the maid's behavior. He still couldn't figure out that he was the dead person. So the maids here gave us a clear example of need that led to crime. They were very poor and they were underpaid by Scrooge. As a result, when they had a chance to rob Scrooge, they did it without feeling ashamed or having a little bit of pity towards him. They fulfilled their basic needs in an improper way due to their poverty. The Spirit showed him this scene to stress this point that being mean may lead to a bad ending. These 3 women were the 3 maids who took off the white shirt off the dead man's body, and they didn't feel any pity or ashamed. They thought that this man doesn't deserve to be respected or honored after his death. The shop owner was so surprised when he knew that they took the shirt out of his body. Scrooge was also shocked with the maid's behavior, but he still couldn't figure out that he was the dead person. So the maids here were a clear example of need that led to crime. They were very poor and they were underpaid by Scrooge. As a result, when they had a chance to rob Scrooge, they did it without feeling ashamed or even having a little bit of pity towards him. They fulfilled their basic needs in an improper way due to their poverty. The Spirit showed him this scene to stress this point, that being mean may lead to a bad ending. Scrooge was beginning to feel sick and angry. He started to understand that meanness may lead to this terrible end. Deep inside him, he felt that he was the dead man. It would be easy to lift the sheet and see who the man was, but he wasn't ready to face the ugly truth. He can't look at the dead man, as he was shocked with the amount of hatred towards the dead man from a lot of people. Businessmen, moneylenders, men he has done business with, and his 3 maids.